forward, Caleb or JLo?
I'm going to surprise you.
I knew you were going to do this.
Yeah, because I'm viewed as the JLo.
Yeah.
JLo, not J-No.
Yeah.
I got it all mixed up.
Yeah.
Guy. And I like JLo.
I knew he was going to do this.
No, but here's the deal. I picked them to win the NFC last year. That doesn't mean I'm like some die-hard Packers fan.
Exactly.
All right?
Just because you pick
So
a
it's
guy to
gonna
go
be
to the
year
Super
to
Bowl
year.
doesn't mean you're diehard.
That's right.
Just
Now,
coaching analysis.
I do like JLo. If his first season as a starter, if it was after that, I'd be like JLo without question. Last year, bad in the playoffs, 3 interceptions against Philadelphia, no touchdowns. I like that JLo is more of a pocket passer.
Yeah.
I like JLo's the way he carries himself better than Caleb.
He's like 10 years older than him.
Yeah, a little older.
Yeah.
But I think Caleb's ceiling is probably higher because JLo, I think, has a high ceiling too. It's close for me. But the fact that Caleb is on his rookie deal tips it for me. He's not being paid $50-60 million a year like JLo. So
It's like an accounting question?
No, so
because it's close for me.
So
because I'm not certain on Caleb.
I wrote down. I think Brew's going to surprise people, and then you said I'm going to surprise people. I'm not going to surprise people. I also think Caleb, but I thought Brew was going to go with what. I don't know, Dust. Can we throw up Caleb's numbers or that side by side again?
They weren't.
Listen. The numbers are. This is the touchdown interception ratio is much like I said about Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson the last couple of years. That number is better than it was when you watched it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so
that's pretty good.
Right. Those numbers, aside from the team record, you'd be like, hey. That's a solid rookie season. I actually think he played worse than those numbers suggest, but I also think because folks like me that put, such a expectation of the audience that he's going to walk in and instantly be a top 10 quarterback, I think people remember the year like he had horrific numbers and never had any moments and had no times you were like, that's the guy we saw in college. So I didn't lose my faith that he has top 3 quarterback in the league level upside. Now, that's going to take some guys aging out, aging out of it, but that when he's 28 years old at the peak of his powers, be a true MVP candidate. I don't think Jordan Love has demonstrably more room to grow. I think that just because he has been in the league 5 years, we didn't see, in my opinion, real growth year 1 to year 2.
He actually probably took a step back.
Right, and so,
I do think JLo also has MVP potential.
You think so?
I don't.
I actually expect a bounce back year from him.
How many touchdowns do you think he's going to throw? Do you think he's going to throw 50?
Well, 50.
No, I think next year he could throw in the 30s.
Okay.
He threw the 25 in 15 games.
I think that I'm excited to see what Caleb looks like with an offensive-minded head coach. Forget good or bad, just an offensive-minded head coach and a guy that we think sharp. I think we all respect Mike LaFleur. I get him confused. Matt LaFleur. And I think he has put Jordan Love in a good situation now. And what I will argue on Jordan's behalf is, I think the Packers receiving core has been overrated the last few years.
He doesn't have a great receiver.
Right. I think that because he has 4 guys who are all good, I think that's less valuable than having a great one and something else. But I think Caleb's ceiling is considerably higher.
Okay. Here's the thing. What Jordan Love did his first year as a starter is what people thought, Nick Wright himself, thought Caleb Williams was going to do in his first year as starter. He thought he was going to be better than what Jordan Love did. Now we can go and say, oh, well, Jordan Love got to sit for a little bit. That's fine. But that's not what people said was going to happen with Caleb Williams. And so we can say, oh, well, Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Eberflus, all things that I can agree with for sure. But it just feels to me like we're kind of, to say that Jordan Love has been in the league for 5 years, to make it sound like he's just been playing, straight up for 5 years. He had his first year as a starter in, not last season, but the season before. And then this past season, he got injured week 1. A lower body injury, which completely really derailed this season. And then dealt with issues. He got injured multiple times. And the receiving core was injured, and the O-line got it. Like it was a messier season for the Packers. And I've said this, so I'm on the record saying that I want to see Jordan Love be better. I want to see Matt LaFleur be better. I want to see this Packers team, be better, right? They need to play better, even with some of the issues that they dealt with. Because I know a lot of people probably were like, well, they were talking about the playoffs and how, Jordan Love didn't play good. And they're saying, oh, but what about all the injuries and this or that? And that's fair. But even in isolation of that, Jordan Love still didn't play. He still made bad, no matter who's trying to catch the ball, he still made bad decisions and bad throws. And I had a whole breakdown of that game as soon as the game ended, talking about how, Jalen Hurts didn't have this insanely great game, and he wasn't taking advantage of Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown and Devontae balling out, but he played a very clean game, and he took care of the ball, and he made sure that the throws that he threw were the throws that needed to be thrown, and when they weren't there, they weren't there, and it was a very small, lower level game, and he took care of the ball, and that's directly the reason why they ended up winning the game. And that if Jordan Love played that style of game, and if Matt LaFleur called that style of game, then the Packers potentially could have won. It just changes the game. But instead, you had a bunch of turnovers, and it just was enough to just hurt you. And Tom Brady said it himself, this is this is the type of game that you're playing right now. No reason to take chances. Don't give momentum back to the other team. And it's what the Eagles understood, and unfortunately for the Packers, they didn't execute. And then eventually, the injuries really did pile up, and then it was just like, well, now the game's just over, right? The game is over. But this whole idea of would you rather have Caleb or JLo, right? We're gonna start talking about contracts and rookie deals. I'm not even gonna entertain that side of things. We all know what this question really means. Who do you think will be the better quarterback? Who do you think will have the better career, Jordan Love or Caleb Williams, right? That's what this question gets boiled down to. And it's just, I find it interesting that you can see year one and be so confident that Caleb Williams will be a top 3 quarterback. And now Nick is saying, well, some of these quarterbacks have to age out. And it's like, well, so then is Caleb going to be better than Josh Allen, better than Lamar Jackson? Obviously, we know he doesn't think he's going to be better than Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. So it's just like, where does Caleb spot? Because if we say age out, well, that's 5 years from now. And then at that point, Caleb will be, 29, 30 years old. And then it's just like, so, we're saying that Caleb could be a top quarterback when the other top quarterbacks age out. That's not really a take. That's it's a take, but it's not. It sounds so much stronger. He says it so much more strongly. He could be a top 3 quarterback, when other quarterbacks eventually age out. And it's like, okay, well, lots of quarterbacks are going to rise up when Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen slow down. That's obvious. Do I, but at the same time, if that's the case, then we're talking about all these quarterbacks kind of aging out a little bit. And if that's the case, well, then we are then looking at the new core of top quarterbacks, and it would be Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud. Which again, I don't know if that's really saying much right now. And believe me, I probably have had takes similar to that in the past. But it's just kind of to me, the better question is which one of these quarterbacks can be right now. Really be, when we say, oh, who's the top 5, and right now, pretty much everyone will say, well, we know it in no particular order. We know it's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, and then everyone else fights for everything else. Everything else seems to be an actual discussion. No one's saying, is Lamar Jackson a top 3 quarterback? Is Patrick Mahomes, is Josh Allen? It's really much everyone guarantees that. And so to me, the better question is which quarterback do you think could enter that conversation right now? Caleb or Jordan Love? Not saying in 5 years, who's going to be a top quarterback, because if they're not, well, then it's like, what are we doing here? Or, it's just like, well, then essentially we have, the 15th best quarterback in the NFL or something, because you have to also factor in that over the next 5 years, there's also going to be a bunch of other younger guys who are slowly entering the league as well. And so like, they'll be the new Calebs, the new Jordan Loves. So that's why looking 5 years in the future right now, if we're looking at it and saying, okay, Mahomes and Josh Allen, Lamar have significantly slowed down, well, then it's just, I don't know, it becomes a different discussion to me, at least right now. I mean, for the record, I do think this is a, it's a fun question to have to answer right now in May. I can appreciate being backed in a corner. And this is the type of content that, I can really sit back and enjoy in May. But the truth is, trying to get a solid answer, I think is, again, unpopular view, kind of impossible right now, because I do think Caleb played with really just a disaster of a franchise in year one, and I do think Jordan Love played out of his mind a year ago, and I don't think that was necessarily a fluke. I really don't. But then this season, the injuries, the unraveling of the roster, like it just, they just weren't able, he was so off track with the rest of the team because he had to, week one he played and then had to miss multiple weeks. And it was just, it's just hard to get back in rhythm and could just never, regain that momentum that he had prior. And so it's like, I really want to see this coming season for both these players, honestly. And so it's like, I don't feel like I need to answer this question 100% directly head on. Again, sometimes I can appreciate being backed in a corner and just kind of force myself to answer. It's like, all right, fine. But as of right now, it's like, I don't have that solid answer, especially because it's asymmetrical. We've seen Jordan Love now play for these couple of years, and we've actually seen him in the playoffs. We've seen some big moments. We've seen some highs. We've seen some lows. Caleb, at least from my viewpoint, I'm giving him a pass for last season. So I'm looking at it as where it's like, I haven't really seen Caleb in a great situation with a great coach. So Caleb is being so much judged on potential. And potential is everything, right? I mean, like, I just talked about this. I forget where. But it's just like, potential's king, right? Like everyone always thinks like, this is it. This is the guy. This is what it's going. It's the potential. What is the potential, right? It's when you're 20 years old, it's the potential of the life you're going to live, compared to when you're 70. It's like, well, this is what I've already done. Like, it's potential is one of the most addicting things ever, right? So, that's through the lens that you're looking at Caleb. You're like, well, this is what he could be one day. He doesn't have to be it right now. But other people are looking at Jordan Love and saying, well, this is what he should be already right now. He should already be at his peak. And we're giving Caleb the grace in terms of saying, well, he will be at his peak one day. And so it's kind of easier to pick that, what that potential is. It reminds me of kind of like, that Family Guy joke where it was just like, do you want the boat or do you want the mystery box? And it's like, oh my God, a boat is a boat, but the mystery box can be anything. It could even be a boat. And like, that's what it feels like with Caleb. It's like, oh my God, we know who Jordan Love is. We think we do though. So in this context, it's like, we know who Jordan Love is, but Caleb, he could be anything. He could be the next Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. I mean, like, he could even be Jordan Love, and it's like, and then there you go. Like that's to me where it kind of lands, but I don't think we truly have seen who Jordan Love is. So I actually look at it the lens through that as like, they're both mystery boxes right now, but I've seen more out of Jordan Love. So really, there's more evidence to believe that Jordan Love will be great. But at the same time, I'm also very much firmly from the camp that, like, I excuse Caleb for last season. I just do, which I know, some people get upset with that, but like that is kind of how I view it right now. And at the same token, I excuse, Packers fans can't even get mad at that because I'm excusing Jordan Love's last season, honestly. So it's like, we can't have it both ways. We can't say, oh no, Caleb, should have been better. Of course, Jordan Love's the man. But then it's like, okay, but then why did Jordan Love come up short? And people say, well, he got injured and because of, other players got injured. And it's like, well, okay, well, Caleb didn't have a great coach and he had fired coaches and he had a bad O-line and he was only a rookie and, et cetera, et cetera. So this is one of those things where, be careful with your comeback in the comment section because it will have to apply for both teams, for both players, for both experiences. What you say about Caleb, make sure that it stays consistent about Jordan Love. And what you say about Jordan Love, it has to be consistent about Caleb Williams. So I'm interested to read the comment section on this one because it is an interesting conversation to be had. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb or JLo, Jordan Love? Who would you rather have? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.